Good morning, New Life Church. This is Cody, Yeoman, coming from the West Little Rock campus. I want to say good morning to my family out there. We got one of the most amazing pastors and leaders of all time, Pastor Harry and Sherilyn. Love y'all big time. So excited to be able to share and continue in Jonah this morning. One thing that our pastors, I think, do heads and shoulders above many others is that they teach with such a tremendous amount of grace and truth. And I think that's why when the Holy Spirit's moving in our church, he's able to win so many lives to Christ because of the way that our pastors teach. But I love how there's been a focus on reverence. This just all like respect that we have for God the Father. Frankly, a respect that puts you on your face that we can't almost put into words. And so as we jump into this, y'all, I hope you've had your coffee. Maybe you've had a little pre-workout this morning, but I'll tell you this, if you're just driving down the road, halfway paying attention or curling your hair, I hope you're a good multitasker, because we're going to get into Jonah right now. So one thing that I love is a father's love. And let's talk about an earthly father's love, especially for a young man, middle schooler, high school. We need affirmation, right? That's important, right? We want to know that our Father loves us, that we're encouraged by Him. But it's also important to have a healthy dose of fear, right? Like sometimes that look they give you, that gets you shaking in your boots. Sometimes the bass in that voice that brings tears to your eyes, or the thought of knowing that they could kill me if I mess up. That keeps a lot of us in between the mayonnaise and the mustard, keeps us out of trouble. And so we get to see a little bit of that love here with Jonah. So let's jump into chapter 3, verses 1 through 3. All right. So it says, "Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise and go to Nineveh, that great city, and call out against it the message I tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh." So let's just look at this real quick. It says, the word of the Lord came to Jonah. All right. So great thing is Jonah can hear God's voice. All right. And we know when we can hear, first of all, I love it when I can hear God's voice clearly. And I hate it when I can't. He can feel so distant and so far away. But there is one thing, when we can hear God's voice clearly and He's given us direction in our life, right? This is a moment that we have a choice. We can either be, frankly, disobedient or obedient. Well, if this verse sounds familiar, it's because chapter 1, verse 1 is pretty much saying the same thing, all right? And we'll notice Jonah got a second time here, right? He heard God's voice, this opportunity, he has to be obedient. And this often is taught around how we have a God of second chances. And thank God we got a God of second chances, third chances, and so many more. But I want to focus in on something here, and that it's who He's delivering this message to. It's to this kingdom of Nineveh, all right? This kingdom of Assyria. And y'all, we beat up on Jonah for not listening to God, but He gave him a tall order here. Nineveh's a bad city, as we've learned. There's some bad dudes, murderers, killers, pagan worshipers. I mean, they're the baddest of the bad. So Jonah's like, these folks don't even deserve God the Father. They don't deserve your grace. They don't deserve to have a relationship with you. And I sure as heck don't want to go there. And so I think we need to show Him a little grace sometimes, because I think we can put our feet in His shoes on whether or not we listen to God at times. But let's hone in on Nineveh, okay? Again, Nineveh is a place He didn't think deserved God's grace or mercy. So that's where I want to go with y'all today. Who is your Nineveh? Who's the Nineveh you have in your life? Whether it's a coworker, a family member. Sometimes that Nineveh can be yourself. Who is that person that you really think doesn't deserve God's love, mercy, and grace? And then, has God ever prompted you to pray for that person, to share the good news of Jesus with that person? Let's look right here in Ephesians. We're going to go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8. And y'all have heard this before. "For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not of your own doing. It's a gift of God, not a result of your works, so that you cannot boast," so that you cannot brag. All right? So you're saved by grace. It is nothing you did. All right. Next, Matthew 5:43. Actually, I'm going to jump to 44. It says, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." So if you look up the Greek and Hebrew of persecute, it really means those who cause you distress. So love your enemies and pray for those who distress you. So, all right, I'm going somewhere with this. Who are the folks in your life that are causing you distress? Y'all, I know that we know that everyone is deserving of God's mercy and God's grace, right? But there is somebody that the Holy Spirit has prompted you, right, that you either need to reach out to or you got to start praying for, that they find a reconnection, a recommitment to Jesus, or maybe they're a non-believer, right, and that they believe and have faith for the first time. I was reading in, a really good friend of mine gave me a book called True Evangelism. And it talks about if you want to be a true soul winner, you got to do 3 things, all right? So here's your assignment. You got to pray for that person. You got to pray for that Nineveh in your life. I'm talking, you have to plead for their soul. There might not be words in your mouth, all right, when you're praying that prayer, but you have to plead for their soul. Secondly, you've got to do it with a clean heart. You got to jump in there with a clean heart. And so if there's any unforgiveness or if there's any bitterness on your heart, you need to ask for forgiveness. You need to cleanse it and get out of the way, all right? Or there's going to be some interference on that prayer. And then lastly, y'all, God's going to use us, but the Holy Spirit does the work. So lift up that Nineveh in your life. Pray for them with a clean heart and allow the Holy Spirit to do a mighty work. I wish y'all the best. Have an awesome day.